Welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast. Proud to be the world's #1 community for brilliant childcare leaders. Each episode will feature interviews with the brightest minds in the childcare industry to guide you into becoming a smarter business leader. Our hosts have opened 10 schools while raising 5 children. They are certified business coaches and are the top-selling childcare business book authors of all time. This episode is sponsored by Arleaf Childcare Insurance. Give Blake a call at 972-232-2258 to get a free quote on childcare business insurance today. Let's welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast our hosts, Brian and Carol Dupre.
Welcome to episode 26 of the Childcare Genius Podcast.
We're your hosts, Brian and Carol Dupre. And this is week 5 of couple month of the Childcare Genius Podcast. All guests in the month of January have been couples building their childcare business together. And next week, we're going to have one more episode of couples who's building their business together. First 6 episodes of 2023 has been amazing with all the couples we've had aboard and very educational. Seeing different degrees of working together and the challenges of doing it. And not easy, is it?
It's not easy working with your spouse or business partner.
But a lot of the couples have done a good job figuring it out. And I love how they come together. We've helped some of them, and a lot of they've helped us as well. And we've enjoyed it. So our guests today on the podcast are Zarvan and Melissa Karanjia from Illinois. When I started coaching them many years ago, their business was actually a lot smaller than it is today. And now they're working on their 5th location. I think they have 5 locations now. They're getting ready to build a nice state-of-the-art center as well to move one of their existing schools in. And they have just grown tremendously. We've worked with them as a couple. We've worked with them individually. And they're one of my favorite people. One of the first people I ever coached. And I still work with them today and love working with them.
Let's get Zarvan and Melissa on the line.
Hi, Zarvan and Melissa. Welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you doing? Thanks for having us here.
Yes, thanks for having us, Brian and Carol.
Oh, so good. You're one of my favorite couples. We've been friends for a very long time. I've coached you for many years, and Carol. I mean, we all 4 have hung out quite a bit over the years. We just love hanging out with you guys. You remind us a lot of ourselves. Probably our businesses have paralleled each other very closely. And your business has grown quite a bit over the last couple of years. And so where you guys, some from our audience will probably want to know where you're at. So where are you calling in from today?
Well, I'm at the home office right now in the suburbs of Chicago.
And I'm in at the headquarters today.
At the headquarters today. So Zarvan, you told me in Chicago. So you're in Illinois area. And Zarvan, you're at home today because the kids are off of school this week.
Correct.
And is that normal to get the first week of January off?
Yeah. For Christmas break, they have 2 weeks off.
Oh, wow.
The roles have definitely reversed with me being like the caregiver of our children while Melissa's doing her day-to-day. So it's been a good thing.
But normally you work in the same office, though, normally.
Correct. Yes.
Awesome. All right. Good. That's good.
So could you tell us about your schools and how you got into the childcare business?
Sure. So I've always been in the childcare business. I actually started childcare out of high school as an assistant teacher. And then worked for many corporate centers, family-owned centers through my early years. And then in 2009, we decided to do a home childcare center. So we started in our home with 16 children. So we were a group childcare center. Did that for a few years. And then in 2014, we found a building and we started a smaller, like a preschool program for about, I think it was like 30 kids, I think, really small. And then we had parents saying, "Oh, Melissa, we love your program." And some of the moms were pregnant and they were like, "We love if you could have babies, but we couldn't because the building was not designed for it." So found another location down the street, ended up expanding down there. And then in 2017, we acquired a franchise school, and we took them over. So we got the experience of starting one from open ground up to taking over a franchise. And then in 2019, we took over a family-owned center that they were there for 30 years. And that was a nice experience. It was a building that we needed to remodel while the children were in there. So that was fun. And then in 2021, trying to look at my schedule here, we bought a building that was a foreclosure. And the funny story about that location is when I was in high school, it was a newer center in our town. And I was like, oh, I love the center. I love the layout. I love the location. And I was like, man, I wanted to build a center there one year. And 20 years later, I guess, because I put it out in the atmosphere, like Brian says, I ended up buying it. So we have that school now. It was a foreclosure, so we gutted it, and it's beautiful now. And we have many kids enrolled in that school. And then now, currently this year, we finally, after pre-COVID, 2.5 years later, have been able to break ground on our brand new location that we're building ground up. So, yeah. So that's kind of how long I've been in childcare, a very long time. And what I like about it is I can relate to what goes on in the schools.
So 13 years since your first school opened, right? Is that right? Time-wise?
Yeah.
13 years. Now, how many centers when you have your the one you're breaking ground on, when that's open, how many schools will you have?
So that one, it'll still be 5. We are taking that one across the street from another location because we need a bigger school out there. It's actually in our hometown, which is really nice.
So 5 schools in 13 years. That is great growth.
Yes.
Love that. And as you know, this is couples month. So we're only interviewing couples in January and into February. So we wanted to interview you guys because we know you guys have been working together for many years. So working with a spouse or business partner can be challenging, as you guys probably figured out. And usually you have to define lanes of responsibility. So I'd like to hear how you guys have worked together. Have you had challenges doing it, or has it been an absolute joy from the second you started it? And how about you, Zarvan? Talk about the lane. When I first saw that you were in separate locations, I'm like, oh my God, why are they in separate locations? Maybe they can't work together. Tell us the truth. What's it like working with your spouse?
So in the beginning, I came from a corporate background in the IT world, and coming into a building or a business with Melissa, basically she kind of ran everything, made all the decisions. So I had to learn real fast that I can't come in there stomping my feet and saying, maybe you should try this and try that when she was doing it. So I think our skill sets kind of complement each other. And, I'm more of the tech, finance, data force, building culture, while she does the day-to-day more training, hiring, and the communication. So I think we really had to focus and say, really sit down, thanks to you teaching us this, is basically create the lanes and make sure we stay in those lanes. And sometimes we veer off of that, of course, as any couple does. But if we focus on sticking to our lanes and making ourselves accountable in those lanes, building a company with our spouses is incredibly rewarding. You actually get closer together when you have a vision and a goal and you try to achieve that goal. And, great things happen when you share those challenges. So I think, like you said, just staying in those lanes, it's difficult at first, and you really got to put it to paper and kind of see where you're good at, what you're not good at, and take it from there.
And Zarvan, how many years have you worked together full time now?
Going on, I want to say 6 years now, full time. So it's
awesome.
Been definitely up and down, but that's what, it's always good to have those coaches, good to have other people, other couples to talk to see, what works, what doesn't work, how we can kind of overcome those challenges. And I think after maybe in the 4th or 5th year is really when we started to overcome those challenges, and we're finally getting into our groove. So it's been definitely a good thing.
All right, so Melissa, let's bring you in here. So if there's couples out there right now where maybe the wife's saying, I don't know if I want to work with my husband or not. I don't know if that's a good idea, or vice versa. It might be the husband saying, I don't know if I want to work with my spouse. What advice would you give to them? Because I remember you having the conversation with you when Zarvan wanted to go full time with you. And it's always that big, like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. Can you give some advice on that?
Yeah. So when Zarvan had came over again, he was, corporate world, not knowing much about the childcare field itself. So we had some discussions where it's like, well, this is how the childcare field operates. And so I kind of had to make a lot of things knowledgeable to him too. When he did first come over, we did hit heads, Brian. We had a couple calls and I was like, I don't know if I could do this. And then when you said to sit down and build your strengths, build your lanes, try to stay in your lanes. And like Zarvan said, like, I think we do very well together now because I don't like doing what he does. And I delegated. So that was like good. That was a good thing. So I delegated what I didn't like to do to Zarvan, and he was able to take it on, and it actually took a lot of stress off of me because I was able to give him the stuff that I didn't like doing. And, at one point he was doing the stuff that I needed done while he was working a 40-hour job and doing stuff for the schools. And that's why the 1 year we were just like, it's time for you to come over. The schools are doing well and I need help. And I just didn't want to see him dual working 2 jobs, trying to do maintenance stuff for us and copy machines down, or the computers aren't working. So it's been, the first year was a little rough. I think you had kind of balanced us, and now we're able to take that and we built our strengths off of it, which allowed us to now focus on growth.
Love that. Yeah. Thank you. That was awesome.
So where do you see your business in 10 years? You have 5 centers now. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I see myself, I always put out there that I wanted 10 schools. I don't know why that number came up. I have no rhyme or reason for it. Right now we're at 5. We're actually looking at another location right now, so it might even turn into 6. But I think in 10 years, my goal for the childcare field and to be in business was to help other childcare assistant teachers, directors to be successful in what they did and enjoy what they do. So I think that is kind of like my focus now, coming out of being a teacher in the field. Removing myself from working with children was very difficult because I worked with them for so long. And then I had to say, okay, so now what do I do? What is my position here at my company? And then I learned that now I love to train the employees, the teachers, just to be great teachers, directors to be great directors, to really open up their mindset again, because we talk a lot about mindset, to know that like what they do is very important and they're very valuable. And right now at this point, to see from us coming out of COVID, the changes in the environment of newer, younger crowd coming in, to having to train them to be the best teachers has been a lot. This year alone, we put 17 teachers through CDAs, and we paid for all 17. And now they're growing. They have ownership of their own classrooms. So just to kind of promote that self-feeling of like, I did it kind of thing, it just excites me now. So now I'm at a point where the next 10 years, like I eventually want to back out of the company and just kind of have it self-operate with the policies and procedures. That's kind of the big goal. But then also if something comes up, be able to financially be able ready to purchase or take over more schools. So, but 10 was my number.
10 is a good number. and love that. I absolutely love that. We've opened 10 and 10 was fun, and we're happy with 10. We're not doing 11. We're not expanding anymore. We're happy with the 10 we've opened, and we're going to help you. We'll help you get to 10 for sure. So
Thank
what
you.
advice, there's people out there that are struggling in their childcare business, as you guys have been, everybody struggles, and you struggle at varying times, and you struggle sometimes several times a year. What advice would you give to somebody out there who's struggling in their childcare business, whether it be expansion, working in your lanes, no matter what? You got any general advice? How about you, Zarvan?
I would say invest in yourself. Like you always told me also is uh, sports players have coaches. Everyone has a coach, right? So if you think you know everything, you don't. You can learn from the cook. You can learn from the assistant teacher. You can learn from anybody. So getting a coach is huge to help you as a business owner. I don't think there's anybody that can make yourself accountable. So getting a coach allows that accountability piece to help you grow yourself. Also, if you're struggling in your business, I would definitely survey the staff and the families and see what you can do to make changes, implement things that are issues. You don't know what the issues are unless you ask, and there's no shame or harm in asking your family, your staff, to kind of understand what are those struggles, what are those issues, to help build your school back up or your team back up, and also yourself.
Love that. Thank you, Zarvan. How about you, Melissa? Anything to add to that?
I would just say don't give up. We have to fall down to get back up and learn from mistakes or things we've done wrong. And I think that just builds us stronger. And then the next time we go through that situation, we're able to get through it. And we're going to have good days and bad days. I always say childcare to me is like a roller coaster. You're on for the ride. You just get on and you ride and you just go. And you just have to have a mindset to understand that like Zarvan said, if it's broken, how do we fix it? How do we fix the problem that's on the table so that we can get better at what we do? So, so I just say, hang in there.
I love that roller coaster analogy, but some days you're going to feel like you're strapped to the front of the roller coaster and it slams into a brick, going towards a brick wall. So,
and that's why it's good to have a coach sometimes, because you are able to reach out to them to say, hey, like, this is my situation, get some advice, whether you go with it or not, at least you have that support. Something I learned when I opened the company, I couldn't just call my local childcare center down the street, talk to the owner to say, hey, have you ever been through this? And can you help me with this? I did that, actually, believe it or not. And my first school, I wanted to know kind of what insurance company she used because I needed that information to move forward. And she basically was like, well, I don't have time to talk right now. And so I was like, okay. So, it's nice to have the support and to be a part of something that everybody loves and breeds. We all love childcare. We don't just do this for no reason. We all have a love for it. So.
Love that. Great answer.
And Melissa, if you don't mind sharing, what's one business goal you have for 2023?
So currently, we really want to focus on organizing our financials so we can have a better look. We had a bookkeeper we worked with for many years, and this year finally we decided to make that switch to a new bookkeeper that actually comes in the office a few hours out of the week to help us in-house, because we kind of need to know what's going on, right? And I think that knowing your numbers, knowing your financials, how to read them, make sure that they're done at the end of the month so you can read them is very important. And, when we had the first and second school, it wasn't so bad, but now that we're on 5 and they're getting larger, enrollments are going up, staffing's going up, we really have to look at things, because when we do have to cut back, we got to know what's going on. So financials, I would say.
It's good. I love that.
I think
so many people are weak on financials. It's one of the areas that if you poll childcare owners, they would say it's the one area they struggle with the most. Cash flow and
knowing your numbers.
What's
a
that?
lot of them don't know their numbers.
Don't know the numbers. And I've dealt, I'm currently coaching a client right now that, does 5 million a year in his business, but they have cash flow issues. And it happens at the lower levels with $200,000 daycares a year, and also at $5 million levels. It's just sometimes we get sometimes the larger the numbers, the more exasperates cash flow problems as well. So if you're struggling out there and you're listening to this, you're not alone. And definitely we can help you with that. So okay, next question is, I've coached you guys for many years. What's one thing you like the best about the one-on-one coaching that we've done working together? How about you, Zarvan?
It might be a little different than Melissa's, but the reason I love is, as a husband, sometimes you can't tell your wife things to change or things to do or suggestions. But what I loved is I could make those suggestions to you, Brian, and you can kind of guide her.
My God, now she knows our secrets, Zarvan.
That's what I loved about it.
And I'll also tell you when Melissa's right?
Yeah, of course.
I've said that quite a few times, right? She's a smart cookie. Love that. What about you, Melissa?
I would say it's the personal touch. It's to be able to just email you or call you, or you're just always there. Or like when we're at events, I could talk to Carol or both of you guys about a situation and kind of brainstorm. So we just, you guys, you were my first coach. So like that was the first experience I ever had with the coach. And so for me, it holds a special place in my heart to know that, I can always give you a call. So
I'm always here for you, as is with everybody that we work with. When we go to a conference, you don't see me hiding. I'm always out there for everybody else. And I enjoy working with other people more than I enjoy working my own childcare business, because I have more of an impact working with hundreds and hundreds of people. I just love making that. Carol can run our company. I like helping other people. But thank you for sharing that. You're very special to me. You're one of the first people I actually coach as well. So you guys are always near and dear to my heart, and I'm always available for you.
Thank you.
Gonna get emotional here, so I'm gonna turn the next question over
Love.
to Carol.
So each week we ask a mindset question. What's your favorite relaxing activity to do as a couple?
So this was the hard one for Zarvan, but I personally we go for couple massages. We have a hot tub in the backyard. We live off of a lake, so we're able to do go on the boat whenever we want to. So we're homebodies. We're not really going out people, which kind of is nice. But I think just spending that time together and then just taking trips together without the kids to kind of just refresh the kids and not worrying about work, to refresh our mindset. So,
Oh my God, they're us. We live on a lake. We love traveling with our children.
We're homebodies.
And we're homebodies. So we are very much alike. And so yeah. So if you ever want to see, have a week of Maine life, we'll swap with you for a week and we'll go have Illinois life and you have Maine life for a week. But you have to take our kids for a week too. Oh my God, we'd have to take theirs, wouldn't we? Although I've met your children and they're very well behaved. So
thank you.
Anyway, we have really enjoyed hanging out with you guys. Let me ask one final question here. So if you had to do it all over again, start from your home daycare and open that first school, I'd like to ask you both, is there one thing that you would do different on the way? Melissa?
I would say the one thing that really I wouldn't do anything different, to be honest with you, because I learned from all my lessons. And prior to opening my first school, I had a lot of late nights. I had a lot of late nights doing research, understanding how the child care business works, understanding, the liability of running a child care center. So I was very research based. I was also actually building my forms because I knew what forms I needed to open my first school. So I think that helped me out. And I think as we opened schools, there was bumps in the roads, but for the most part, they were all teachable bumps. So I was able to take them as a learning lesson. So when I did my next school, I was able to do things either quicker or better. So I just feel like everything's kind of a learning trail.
How about you, Zarvan?
So one thing I would definitely add is join a coaching group sooner than later. Why reinvent the wheel when it's already been done? People have gone through it. That's all I could really say is I wish we joined a coaching group much, much earlier than we did. just to kind of, so Melissa didn't have to stay up those late nights, building all those forms and things like that. So definitely a key.
I'm with you, Zarvan. That would be my answer. If I can go back earlier, I would get a coach sooner, because I sure made a lot of mistakes. And those mistakes are very costly. I don't realize people say, well, I can't afford coaching. But yet the mistakes you make will cost you six figures. And sometimes coaching is a very cheap alternative to losing your own money. And there's two things you could learn from in the world. You can learn from your own mistakes, or you can learn from the mistakes of others. And it's much cheaper to learn from the mistakes of others. And we've made a lot of them. And we love sharing our mistakes, either in our book or our coaching. So we will wrap this up. But thank you, guys. Go back to your nice cold weather outside. But when you're sitting in the hot tub tonight, as we're thinking the hot tub, don't talk about work. Talk about your future, because your future is bright, and we appreciate you guys. We love you both. And we want to thank you for coming on the Child Care Genius podcast.
Thank you, Brian and Carol. We appreciate it.
I just love talking to them.
Yeah, they've grown so much over the years, and I just love working with them. I'm very proud of what they've accomplished. They've grown tremendously. They have got great goals. And I think they're going to be, setting the childcare on fire in the Chicago area for many years to come.
Definitely.
And it's so nice to see when you're working with somebody. It's nice to see the end result of how working together, and to see the growth. It's just amazing. So if you need help in your childcare business, and you'd like to do a free coaching call with me with no obligation in any area of business that's struggling, I'll help you out. Just go to childcaregenius.com, and under the coaching tab, select free coaching call button. Guaranteed to come away with 2 or 3 things that we could work on to help you in any area your business is struggling. And also, if you've not taken advantage of our free book offer, our book, Advanced Childcare Business Strategies, Secrets to Profitability, Expansion, and Wealth Creation, is available right now on our website at childcaregenius.com/books. And you can get it for free in the United States, and we'll even pay for shipping. It's a great book on strategy. It's more of an advanced book, but we'd love to get that in your hands for free. And thank you so much for tuning in as we conclude episode 26 of the Child Care Genius podcast.
Just a reminder to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss a future episode of the Child Care Genius podcast. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Childcare Genius podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. Don't forget to visit our website at childcaregenius.com to see a list of services we offer to help grow your childcare business. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Childcare Genius community.